Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Today is September the 10th, and it is a great day to be alive. And welcome to the kitchen table. My name is Roxanne Harris, Audacious Wellness Warrior. Joining me today is the ever lovely Robin Parr.
Good morning.
And we are Ember and Bloom, and we are so excited to have you join us. Ember and Bloom is a company created by two sissies, two sisters, Robin and Roxanne, that is focused on the menopausal couple. And we do have a very strong and key interest in the menopause woman and all stages, premenopause, perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. And it has become our mission to help you as a menopausal woman and your spouse to live better and experience the more of life with each other, with maybe your hair intact, your mood intact, your figure intact, your get up and go. And so we're super excited for you to join us and to launch into this journey together and really this menopause revolution that Robin and I are calling the menopause renaissance. And so, Robin, just explain a little bit, like, what is a menopause renaissance, and why should every woman that we know and that you know be tuning in and joining us even on our upcoming retreat?
Because there is a big cry out for women to receive help in mental and physical and emotional, spiritual, all the states of our well-being. Still surprised to this day how many people are actually in perimenopause and don't know it, and they're running to their doctors, and the doctors can't help them. They're telling them that they're just a whiny woman. Here's some pills, go away. Here's some antidepressants, whatever.
Yeah.
Lots of new forums and groups that are being formed to help women with their symptoms and their emotional mental needs. But yet it doesn't seem like there's the right kind of help out there. So we don't want to sit here and bash our husbands or men or bring each other down and fall into a pity party. We want to have a rebirth of our second part of life, our renaissance. And that's what we aim to do, is to help women rediscover themselves, relive, like just flourish and bloom and blossom.
Mm-hmm. And I really love that because Renaissance, like when you think about the word Renaissance, what does that even mean? It is this rebirth. And Renaissance, if you were to describe what is like a Renaissance person, they're very creative, knowledgeable, they're wise, they've got lots of interest, they can talk to all kinds of people because they've had this life, and through that experience they've literally been reborn into this most amazing, colorful, like brilliant version of themselves. And as women, sorry guys, but we go through this amazing process of menopause. And I want to put it like that because many women, they fear menopause, or they've been told it's this really horrible, nasty, like part of your life, and you just want to close your eyes and be done with it. But the menopause is literally where the woman, as she was created to be, is being reborn. Right? Something of the old you is no longer, and you're entering into really the best season of your life. And I invite you right now, like, share the podcast with a friend, get them on, be interactive with us, put your comments in the link, and don't forget, grab your cup of coffee, because we're going to have some great conversation today about that menopause can be the best chapter of your life that is leading to this second half of your life in the most amazing way. And just because you're going through menopause does not mean that you need to suffer. And Robin and I, we'll share maybe some of our own personal journey, but you don't need to go to hell and back when you're going through menopause. There is help and there are real solutions. And Robin, you mentioned a couple of episodes ago that um, suicide is rampant in menopausal women.
Yes, it's actually a really big tragedy that that's not talked about often, and I think a lot of women are unaware of it. But even going through some of the forums through for research, really for our own um, interests and help, and to see what's out there and what's being offered to women. So many women are still posting on the daily how low they feel, and that there's, only their kids are keeping them going, and they're even losing, the interest in the kids and stuff like that. So it's just, all I see under the comments when someone posts something like that is same, me too, just want to fade into the darkness, want to crawl into my bed and pull the covers over my head. That is awful.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why it just touches my heart so much to reach out to these women and just, try and gather them up and fight back for their sanity, for their well-being, for to flourish, to bloom again, like to use those words.
Well, it really is. And, very strategically for people that maybe have an interest, Ember and Bloom, we created that brand because many women in menopause feel like embers, ashes of themselves with no light, no flames, no fire, not only for maybe their spouse or their relationships, for their job, for hobbies and activities that they once took interest in, and even for themselves, right? And we see this all the time where women are complaining, I don't even know who I am anymore. I feel dead inside. I don't know if I want to continue. And the women that obviously do continue, they go on to have amazing lives because, eventually all of this stuff stops and we really can embrace our life. And the blooming part is because we want to bloom. We don't want to become so closed off and internal, hiding out in our homes, never leaving our beds, not being able to look in the mirror, go to social events because we feel so crappy, right? That we want to bloom so that, like the Renaissance, our everything, our wisdom, our creativity, our knowledge, everything about us, can blossom into this beautiful flower that reaches lots of people. Women are meant to share their wisdom, their knowledge, their experience, and that's why we have the kitchen table in the first place. Because women don't do that anymore, and they certainly don't do that in large groups. And so we're inviting you to our kitchen table through our show so that we can interact with you and share wisdom with each other. And in particular, with Ember and Bloom, it's the wisdom for menopausal couples. Very strong focus on the woman, but men, your lovely wife, your mother, your sister, your aunt, your coworker, they're going through it. Women go through menopause and men experience it through the male lens. But we even want to get down and talk about what men can do to support their wives, their relationships, their families through now understanding what's going on with a woman, and then how knowing how to integrate and how to help and support. And you said something really interesting earlier, Robin, about many women are having all of these symptoms and they don't even know that they're in perimenopause. Perimenopause is when the estrogen levels start dropping and your egg production is decreasing, or you're losing eggs, or you've lost so many eggs that the estrogen is no longer there. And it's crazy. I had a client recently, and it just really reminded me like why we're doing what we're doing. And it was fascinating because, like most women, in their late 40s, early 50s, all of a sudden was really not feeling well and had all kinds of diagnoses, right? From anxiety and depression to joint issues, shoulder issues, brain fog, fatigue, in massive insomnia, blood sugar challenges, blood pressure, like all the stuff. And this is so common for women. They wake up and they're like, I don't even know what happened to me. So they're on all these medications, ringing in the ears, and all they had was depressions for anxiety, for depressions for depression, uh, um, medications for cholesterol. And I'm like, has your doctor talked to you about perimenopause? No. And as I started unpacking how the symptoms linked up and connected with perimenopause, initially there was the shock, right? Like, I don't even believe, like, how come I don't know this? How come my doctor didn't tell me this? How come my mother didn't tell me this? But then it was anger. How come nobody told me this? Right? And, and throughout the whole, time I was with her, she kept coming back to I just honestly can't believe that I didn't know this. And I've been suffering for years. I don't want any more sleeping medication. It doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be on anti-anxiety and antidepressants. Like, there has to be help.
Right. And I think a lot of people get lost in the age thing too, because
Mhm.
menopause traditionally, I think, is thought about, you're old, you're in your 50s or 60s. Well, that's not the case. There's a lot of women going through perimenopause now in their 30s.
Yes.
And some unfortunate souls have a really long journey in perimenopause. It can be 5-10 years plus before you actually go through menopause, which is one day. Menopause is a one-day thing. It's 1 year from your last cycle, and then you have no more cycles for 12 consecutive months. So if you don't have a cycle for 6 months, and then on the seventh month you have a cycle, you start that process all over again, unfortunately. But 1 year, then you enter menopause, that's it. And then the rest, things do start leveling out. Things do get better. It's a flourishing now.
Yes. And, we're all about the getting better. So, what are the tips and the hacks and the tricks that you can do to allow yourself to journey through menopause, pretty much symptom free, with
Hmm.
peace, with joy, sleeping, waking up with energy and feeling vibrant? And these are the things that the medical community is not talking to women about.
Yeah, not surviving, not band-aiding, not, just going through the motions of your life, thriving.
Well, and it's really insane because when men get a little bit later in age, and this is generally going to be closer to 50 or 50 plus, and they start maybe having problems with their prostate or with erectile dysfunction, and or feeling like they don't want it anymore, and that's usually based on that there's challenges with the prostate or with erections, and or just feeling low or depressed, and they go to the doctor. Literally a freaking 10-20 second conversation, they walk out with a prescription, and within a few days they feel great. And then a woman goes with all of these problems: anxiety, depression, abdominal weight gain, I'm not sleeping, and they're told basically you're hysterical, which just literally means you have a problem with your uterus. And here's an antidepressant, here's an anti anxiety, here's some sleeping medication. But they're never told how to fix it.
Well,
What?
most doctors aren't trained in dealing with they know the symptoms and they know how to do the blood work and stuff like that, but they don't know how to manage, women's emotions and the actual listening of all these symptoms and what they can do about it. They just know the physical medical term of menopause.
Well, and isn't it fascinating because you said, listen to. Most doctors don't listen. Like most of us as women, we just want someone to listen to us
Mhm,
and to validate that our experiences are real.
mhm,
Yes, you're having ringing in your ears. Yes, you're tired all the time. Yes, your brain isn't functioning. Yes, you've got pain in your joints. And these are all symptoms of low estrogen in the perimenopausal, menopausal, postmenopausal woman.
mhm. Yeah.
And, we like to have someone that actually listens.
Well,
And
most people listen to, have their rebuttal. They don't listen to understand. So that's the biggest problem, that not just with the doctors, but, between women, between husbands and wives, we aren't listening to understand.
yes. And I think that's really important because there are well over 100 symptoms of perimenopause. And again, unfortunately, most medical professionals are going to look for, I'll say, the lowest common denominator, the thing that they can fix first. Here's an antidepressant, right? Oh, here's Ozempic, you're gaining weight, right? Oh, here's a sleep aid. But they're not going, wow, it looks like you have a lot of symptoms of perimenopause, and maybe we should test your hormones to see what's happening and get us a baseline so that we can track this. Because there's then the other problem where women who've had hysterectomies, then they're like, well, I don't know if I'm in perimenopause because I don't have a cycle, right? And so then we're looking at a
Or
hormone.
not even knowing that they will go through that because
Yes.
they have a uterus or the, ovaries anymore.
So, ladies, if it was just the uterus that was removed, you're going to be going through perimenopause, menopause, etc. If you were unfortunate and needed to have the uterus and the ovaries removed, you're going to go through menopause like right there. So you're going to wake up from surgery and that perimenopause is going to start because you literally just removed estrogen, right? And didn't give the body a chance to really store it up and this slow decline. So you will go through it. It's a little bit harder to track when you don't have a uterus, but when you understand the symptoms, and one of the most fascinating symptoms is that about 2 years before your date of menopause, so 12 months since your last period, 85% of women will pack on pounds in their belly like a freight train. So in perimenopause, we know that women can gain 2 to 5 pounds per year as they're taking that 5 to 12 year journey through menopause. They will um, gain that 2 to 5 pounds. But the 2 years before menopause, 85% of women gain upwards of 5 to 20 pounds per year. And it's overwhelming to women, and it doesn't help when we go to a doctor and they're like, eat less and exercise more. Stop saying that. That does not work for a menopausal woman. The metabolism is not the same. The whole process that the body is going through to be able to stabilize the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years of your life is not eat less and move more, because that increases cortisol in the perimenopausal woman and makes you gain weight like a freight train. And then that creates stress, and then that creates insomnia, and that creates more weight gain and more weight gain and more weight gain.
And not only that, but the traditional exercise or the exercise that you've always done your whole life and work doesn't work anymore when you're in perimenopause and menopause.
Yeah, exactly. And, there's so much science around this. Unfortunately, most people in this field are at least 5 to 10 years behind in the most current research. So they're not up to date. They're just doing what they always did and not understanding why it's not working. And so this client that I had, and the level of distress that she had about what was going on in her body, and then realizing it was perimenopause, it just really made me reflect on myself. You know, um, I'm the audacious wellness warrior. I do the stuff, right? I eat a very specific way. My lifestyle, like, it's very specific because I needed to overcome autoimmune disease. So I would say, yes, I have, a pretty healthy lifestyle, especially compared to the vast majority of people. And then all of this stuff started happening, that even though I was training in a gym 4 or 5, sometimes 6 or 7 times a week consistently, never less than 4 times a week. And there was a period of about a year where it was never less than 5 days a week for an hour. And not just, ew, I'm jumping around. I mean, lifting heavy weights and training hard, eating the low calorie diet, eating all the salads. And I was gaining weight. And not just gaining weight, but where I had developed these beautiful, strong muscles, it looked like freaking marshmallow. And the cellulite. And I was like, what is going on? So, of course, then what happens? I need to train more. I'm not doing enough. So I'm doing my 1 hour weight training, and then I'm doing a half-hour cardio session, and then I might do a secondary weight training, even eating less. And the weight was getting worse, especially abdominal weight gain. I'm like, this literally doesn't make sense. And you're walking around and no one's believing what's happening. And I'm consulting all of these very high level professionals that I'm friends with. And what were they telling me? Well, you just need to, eat more or eat less and train harder, more cardio. And I'm like, but I was doing that and I was fine. And I'm doing the same thing. Nothing's changed. It's the same thing. And so what happened to me was I started to go, well, I don't like what I see in the mirror. I don't want to see me in the mirror. So therefore, I don't want to see you either. So I'm living my life in my house, right? I'm just at work. I'm at home. I'm not posting on social media. Surely not pictures of me. I used to do a lot of posts with me even in my gym training. And I'm like, Lord, people are going to wonder what's going on here. You're working out in the gym all the time and you're getting fatter. And it wasn't until I had this idea, and I'd been sending some clients to, there's a specialized clinic where it's run by nurse practitioners and doctors and integrative doctors and naturopaths, and they do a lot of alternative therapies. And so I made an appointment with an integrative nurse practitioner and, had this conversation about what is going on here, right? And myriads of specialized, blood tests and different x-rays and just all these kinds of things, only to come back to be told, I think you're in perimenopause and it's the stress that's the problem. And if you can't decrease your stress, it's just going to get worse. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me right now? Right? Because sure, we've been through a lot of stress in the last few years. We've had, multiple children get married, and, we had to fix our house. There was a big problem. And, there's all these things that everyone experiences, but why do some people sail through them better and other people not? And I was like, are you kidding me? Like all these little symptoms that I'm having is perimenopause? Now, I was blessed. I wasn't having hot flashes and things like that. Sure, I might get warm, throughout the day, or at night I was like, oh, it's really hot. I'm going to kick off the covers. But I've always done that my whole life, even when I was 10 years old, sticking my toes out because I was, warm. And, but it was the other, and especially the weight gain and the mental emotional shift, right, was huge for me. And I say this to people, and it sounds harsh, and I don't apologize because it's literally how I feel. But I said, like my last F caught on fire a few months ago. And I'm just going to tell you straight up like it is, because I have so little patience or tolerance for stupidity right now. And I'm like, what is like seriously going on with me that it's kind of like, you know what, there's no veto here, right? And it's the stress that the body's going under, and then also learning that estrogen plays a key pivotal role in the brain and the way the brain functions. And this is why more women than men enter into perimenopause and start having symptoms like depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, rage like they've never seen before, even grief or excessive jealousy. Women that were never jealous before, now they're like, dude, I like have 3 spare tires around my midsection. And you're out in public with your husband and a woman walks past and you go like psycho because he looked at her. Because many women that are going through perimenopause look in the mirror and they hate themselves. Where am I? Right? And so it creates all of these stresses and tensions. And so I really started devoting, almost all of my extra time. So when I'm washing the dishes or doing mundane tasks, I'm listening to research and podcasts on really what is this menopause and what are the things that we can do to help women sail through it faster, and especially so I can help myself. And then because I'm a sister and a mother and a friend, right? The natural thing is when I hear things, I'm going to share that with other women, such as all of you at the kitchen table.
Yes, and that's the most important part, is not just learning and gathering knowledge. It's sharing with women around you, because you never know what you might say that they need to hear or feel or go through or whatever. Always learning, and things that we go through have an impact on somebody else later on in life. We just don't know when and where.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I'm interested, if you're brave, put a comment in the chat. What are you going through? What are you experiencing? What are the things that you've noticed? Maybe you don't even know that you're in perimenopause. So let us know, and we can have some conversation around those things. But some people are like, women will self veto. You're right. They think this information isn't important because, well, I'm fine. I'm not having any symptoms. You are, because let me help you. Osteoporosis, osteopenia, arthritis, frozen shoulder, insomnia, brain fog, fatigue, random joint aches and pains, blood sugar issues, cholesterol issues, bowel issues. The list goes on. Ringing in your ears. There's symptoms that happen, and just because you're not having hot flashes doesn't mean you're not in perimenopause.
Mm-hmm.
And we can even then look at that and go, okay, but women that are not in perimenopause, they're in premenopause, maybe they're 26 or 32 or 38 years old and they're not experiencing that. This is information they need to know, so that when they start to experience these things, they're like, I actually don't need that medication. What I need is, right? So learning how to navigate through this menopausal time and this menopausal experience, and learning what we need to do in our 20s and 30s and early 40s so that we aren't riddled with symptoms and pain and sleeplessness and irritation and muscle loss and belly fat and cellulite when we enter into menopause. And there are things that Robin, you and I, we know now that, man, if I would have known that when I was 35, I would have been doing that.
Exactly. Like to have hindsight is 2020, right? But that's like to piggyback off what I just said, always learning and sharing, because you never know who needs to hear that. Something, you're going through something and then you remember something that your sister or your aunt or your mom or your friend or someone online had said, and you're like, aha. Maybe that's what it is. You go to the doctor, they slough you off. They don't even listen to half the stuff you say. They're just already writing on a
Yeah.
prescription pad or dismissing you because they got their 10 minutes. But, that's why as women, we need to build a sisterhood, a community to gather together and share all this stuff. And not just so we can, lay it out on the line and have our pity party and feel sorry for ourselves. It's important to do that and let all the emotion out. We can't harbor and trap in emotion or emotions inside of our bodies. We need to let them move through our body. But how can we fix that? What can we do? What are preventative? What are things that we can do today? What are things we can do 5 years from now?
And that is really it, because we're not taught those things. And because, women's health is poorly researched and poorly understood, there's really not been a lot of discussion, right? And so the fix is literally nothing. And then we have the whole situation in the 90s of a very flawed research on HRT, hormone replacement therapy, that literally, because of the way that they did the study, it was flawed from the beginning. It wasn't even a flaw in the reporting of the facts, because the facts of the research were the facts. The flaw was how they did it to really manipulate the facts in the end. And because of this research, they put 70 and 80-year-old women on hormone replacement therapy. And with this research, some women, of course, did well, and then other women had increases in breast cancer and cardiovascular risk. And so they're like, oh my gosh, HRT causes breast cancer and heart attacks and strokes, and no woman should be taking it. And you literally had millions of women overnight cold turkey stop taking HRT and then go into like extreme symptoms and depression and anxiety and weight gains and I mean arthritis and breaking bones. And it was just insane what was going on with women over this fear. The flaw is this: we go on HRT in peri-menopause. And the research actually proves that when you start HRT, because you need it, not just every woman, only the women that need it, right? That it actually substantially decreases your cardiovascular risk factors, decreases your bones from disintegrating and falling apart, decreases your risk of breast cancer, and the list goes on. But 10 years after menopause, 12 years after menopause, if you're still taking HRT, then this is a problem. And this is where other things can happen. There's a timing window for this. But imagine, like, if you were having all these symptoms and you went on hormone replacement therapy and overnight you got your life back. That's a big deal, right? But imagine maybe your symptoms were not that bad and you made some little lifestyle adjustments. You went to bed earlier, you had more salad, you got some sunshine, you stopped using so many screens, like you started weight training, and you're like, oh my gosh, within a couple of days, couple of weeks, you're feeling better. And then you're like, man, like, why didn't I do these things like 10 years ago? Right? And so there are little tiny things that even premenopausal women can learn, such as weight training, right? Where it will allow you to go through your renaissance in an amazing way, right? Way less stress, symptomology, and I think that's beautiful, and that's really, why we're doing what we're doing. And my heart goes out to ladies. I just, when I hear what women are going through, and I know there is help, and not just help, but support, community, a sisterhood, right? And women, we need each other. Just like the saying is, it takes a community to raise a child. Women need community. They need to be friends, and they need to talk with women that are older than them, the same age as them, different ethnicities than them, younger women, women with children, women without children, with grandchildren, without grandchildren, to really glean wisdom from women, so that we are experiencing more of our life with vitality and learning things that work really, like, around the world.
Mhm. And that's important too, is not just to keep in your age group because, women, yes, we, birds of a feather flock together, but, you learn so much from different age groups and have an understanding, a bigger understanding of not just keeping a small circle, but keeping, a larger understanding of what's going on in all stages of life.
Yeah. And it's kind of, it just reminds me, so the people that are going through, the ladies that are going through menopause right now, their menopause journey, are really Gen Xers, right? And Generation X is the generation we raised ourselves. We did crazy things. Our parents never knew where we were. They actually legitimately had this little, sound on the 10 o'clock news, and the news would always start with this, like this alarm, and it would say, "It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?" Like, for real, our parents needed to be reminded they even had children. We were kicked out of the house first thing in the morning, and don't you dare come home until, supper, or certainly before the street lights came on. Nobody knew where you were. They didn't ask any questions. We drank out of water hoses. We did things where probably our lives were in jeopardy most of the time. The adventures that we went on. And Gen Xers are really, I find this fascinating. We look good, ladies. I mean, we look good, right? Somehow our upbringing and latchkey kids, all of that stress produced some fine ladies. And when you talk to women that are Gen X, um, we don't think we're in our 50s. We're like, I'm like, I just graduated high school. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely still in my 20s. Okay, maybe I just turned 30, but we don't look our age, we don't feel our age, and we sure don't act our age.
Well, they call it the generation that was 30 when they were 15 and 30 when they were 50.
Exactly. And so this is also why I think that many Gen Xers going through perimenopause have a problem even thinking they're in menopause, because we legitimately are like, I'm 30. Like, what are you even talking about menopause?
Well, that, and also our generation didn't really seek out help. Like you said, we were kind of pushed into the world to figure out things for ourselves, and we didn't go around and ask for advice or talk to people about. We just kind of dealt with what was on our plate the best we knew how, and kind of moved on, suffered in silence, like, oh, my leg's broken, but I'm going to keep walking on it because I don't have a ride, kind of thing, right?
Yep.
So it becomes a dangerous place to be in, because we have also self taught to self-soothe and just to go through it. Don't whine, don't whimper, don't complain, just deal with it.
Yeah. How many times did you hear, suck it up? Big girls don't cry. What's your problem? There's nothing to cry about. And yeah, so a lot of Gen Xers have this, it's just me against the world. And if I can't do it, no one can do it. And I'm going to do it and figure it out by myself, or I'm going to suffer in silence. And, ladies, you don't have to suffer in silence. We've got this beautiful sisterhood, this Ember and Bloom sisterhood, that you're all a part of through our kitchen table. But also, when you come to any of our retreats, you then get access to our special Ember and Bloom sisterhood community, where these are women just like you that are in every stage of menopause, that are moving through, but have been to a retreat. So they're kind of understanding some of the fundamentals of, how they can experience their life better, how they can reduce symptoms. But they're here to support, encourage, inspire, lift up, share ideas, share tips and tricks, and really rally together, right, as women, and then as menopausal couples as well. So a community for couples where then men can also learn how to support the women in their lives as they're moving through this most awesome time of your life and really into the second half, the Renaissance. Women spend about half of their life in postmenopause. So it's a real thing. It's not just this little window and then your life is normal. No, you're never going back to the 20 or the 30 or the 40s. So Robin and I are so excited to be able to announce the Ember and Bloom Renaissance Christmas. This is literally, it's like we're having a baby. You're prepping and making everything perfect. It is a live online virtual retreat. Now, what I've noticed recently is people are advertising that they've got live workshops and live programs. And so you register for it. It's not live, it's all pre-recorded. You can't ask any questions. There's no ability to participate. This is a live retreat where there are specific times where we're meeting. So it's going to be on the Thursday night, Friday night, and all day Saturday, ending early on Saturday so that you have enough time for your extra special, amazing homework for the end of the retreat. And it's going to be Thursday, November 20th, Friday, November 21st, and Saturday, November 22nd. You can look in the post here and in the comments for the link to get your tickets now. You're not going to want to miss this. You're going to want to make sure that all of your sisters, your BFFs, your work colleagues, even your mama comes to the event. It will be very interactive. So yes, it's going to be in your home. You can get all your girlfriends together and watch together. However, we're going to be very engaging, and you are going to get a little Ember and Bloom toolbox to guide you through the retreat. And there's going to be things in your toolbox that you'll need to access during the retreat so that you can fully participate and get the most out of it and really start to experience your Renaissance. So it is live. It's like we're there in person. We'll be very interactive with you. We're very excited. Right now, we have a ticket pre-sale going on. And with the ticket pre-sale, it's a crazy awesome price for the pre-sale. You're going to have some extra wonderful luxury items in your retreat boxes. And one of those is going to be a copy of my book, Audaciously Alive. And so you can get this book hardcover for absolute free for getting your pre-sale ticket. Now, the pre-sale price and the extra bonuses, such as my amazing book that will give you tips and tricks and tools to help ignite your Renaissance and get you blooming and flourishing, So that's going to be part of those tickets. And that pre-sale ends on Monday, September the 15th. So you have just a few more days to get that extra special price. And you will see as well that we do have a bring a friend ticket, where if you bring a friend, so you're buying your ticket and a friend's ticket at the same time, there's a really amazing discount for the retreat. Now, the price of the retreat includes the shipping of your luxury menopausal toolbox. Okay, so you're going to want to make sure that you get your ticket quickly, and so that you get your really amazing retreat toolbox before the retreat. So we look forward to having you, and to see all of our amazing ladies reignite your fire and really flourish in your renaissance.
And how fun it will be there. It's not just all book work and writing down notes. We're going to have a lot of fun. Our own little party, or menopause party, peri-menopause party. And I think that's the key to learning, is enjoying the journey, having a lot of fun, laughing at ourselves and at others, because hey, life isn't that serious.
Yes, absolutely true. And so, yeah, it's been a pleasure today. And if you don't know if you're in perimenopause, um, this is where you need to be. Check us out every Wednesday at 1, where we're talking about women, all things women, and how to, move into our renaissance and flourish. And the Renaissance Christmas Retreat will help you flourish through the holiday season. All the crazy, the food, the cortisol, the lack of sleep, the stress, have we got tools for you that you're not going to want to miss. So we always like to end our broadcasts with a little prayer and a blessing. So Father, we just thank you for each and every woman that is watching and that will watch. We ask that you would bless them today, that you would just shine your love and your joy and your peace over them, and that when they look in the mirror, they're like, man, I look good. And then that would trickle down to, man, I feel good. And we look forward to an army of women, a sisterhood of women that are experiencing their best life yet. And we just thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. And thanks for watching, everyone. And remember to join us every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, and invite all of your friends and get your ticket for Renaissance Christmas. You're not going to want to miss it.